Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you're watching this from. Welcome to the Esri Education Summit and Resources for GIS Education and Professional Development. Today we'll be hearing from three presentations, Ann Johnson, Anand, and Nining, or Nicole. We're going to start off today with Ann Johnson. Ann is with the Commonwealth of Kentucky, the GeoTech Center. While teaching geology, and developed a GIS certificate program. In 1997, joined Esri as a higher education account manager, and then in 2008 became the co-PI and associate director of the NSF-funded GeoTech Center. So welcome everyone, and without further ado, we will get started with Ann. And I will stop sharing my screen, and you can take over. I can figure out how to stop sharing my screen.
Thank you very much. It's interesting to hear that bio. Anyway, I'll start my slideshow. The GeoTech Center is officially called the National Geospatial Technology Center of Excellence. It's a National Science Foundation Advanced Technology Education grant to really support teaching and geospatial technologies with an emphasis or a focus on education for the workforce. So all of our curriculum and everything is supposed to say the student coming out of this kind of program will be able to enter the workforce successfully. So I'm going to talk about some of the resources we've developed to do this. So there are curriculum resources, we have model courses, and we're going to talk about those, and concept and demonstration videos that can be used. But we also have a lot of professional development opportunities. We just finished the GeoEd 21 conference, but we will do it again, I'm sure, next year. We also do GIS Day, so keep in tune for that. We do workshops and short courses, and we have 2 online MOOCs. The other thing that's really important is we have the educator certification program that's coming up. So first off, I'd like to just share with you our web page. The web page has a lot of good information on it, but it isn't always easy to find a resource when you're looking for it, right? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to have the major page here, but I'm going to keep it as a little one up in the corner, up on the right-hand side. So the link is easy, geotechcenter.org. Just remember that, it's pretty easy. And it may change. Some of the things on it change, especially the things right in the center of the web page. But if you can't find something, there's my address, ann@bearmountain.com. Do feel free to contact me. So the model courses, we've developed model courses, and the 101 to 109 are part of what we consider a full certificate program. We also have an awareness course, which is GST 100, which uses browser-based type technology. The other courses use both ArcGIS Online and Pro type software. We also are developing electives, and if you want to share any of the courses you've developed and have the resources for, we'll put your model courses up here too as an elective or ancillary model course. So if you go click on one, and I'm going to click on 101, what comes up is this little page, a landing page for the course, you know, a short description and learning objectives. And then you'll see a thing that says course materials. Click on that and you'll come up with another page that shows lectures and other ancillary materials. Click on that and it shows the lectures. So you can see that there are several different folders for lectures in here. If you click on one of those, it comes up with PowerPoints and narrations. And we do the 2 so that if you want to, you can listen to the narration, but then you can take the PowerPoints and the slides and use them and create your own course. You can see the little red arrow exactly where you find the web page. And when you open it, this happens to just be a screenshot of the one course with the lecture and the videos. So they're videos and PowerPoints. This is just demonstration of the GST 101 introduction, and it's an overview, and you'll see exactly what the first slide of that one looks like. We also have ancillary materials that we're creating. So an assessment rubric that is based on the objectives in the course. So how do you assess whether a student has accomplished it and what level they have to have for different classifications? We also have a sample syllabus and also what we call an instructor resource guide that will take the materials that are there and help you use those materials to enhance or create a course. Now, all of the courses were developed between 2015 and 2017. We are updating them right now as we speak. We hope to have them done. Of course, COVID also came into play here, but we hope to have them all up by the end of summer and updated, so they'll all have these materials. They're all based on competencies as defined from the geospatial technology model, and you can get to that GTCM through the web page. There's the arrow going over to where it's located. You click on it, and this is really a three-dimensional pyramid that gives you a lot more information. We updated in 2018, and we have scheduled an update in 2022, so it's up to date. We also used developing a curriculum where you bring people who do the job and find out what they do. You usually sit them in a room, if you're not in COVID, and feed them for 2 days and find out exactly what they do, what they need to know, and develop a curriculum then based on what the workforce says they are doing and need to know how to do. The other thing we've created are what we're calling concept modules, and really they should be concept review modules. These are modules, there's 22 of them, and they are not really to teach the concept, they're to review the important topics within the concept. So you teach the concept on, say, map projections and datums. You don't want to, the test comes up and the students want more information. They could look at the concept module. They're going to get the overview of the important factors and topics for that, and it's a good thing right before an exam. There are a couple more that are a little bit longer. The one on using Excel and CSV tables and mathematics and statistics, those are more, I wouldn't call them exactly geospatial concepts, but in general concepts. The other thing we have is demonstration videos. So these were created by Wing Chung, and they are excellent. They're short, to the point for doing a specific thing, and they're really, if you're stuck on something and you find one in here, it's going to help you. The one I just looked at was his one on the census. I went out to the census and there's new census data. It's wonderful. There's tons of data there, but to actually get it, even looking at their videos of how to access the data, wasn't exactly simple. Well, Wing does a wonderful job of simplifying it. And I was off and running after watching this, and I think it was 10 minutes or so, but it tells you little hints and tips that will really help you do this. We do have 2 MOOCs, and they are Introduction to Geospatial Technology. It's an awareness level course. And we have one on drone safety and applications. Both of these courses are part of the web page. So there's the arrow going to that where it's located. They're both free. They're online. You sign up for them. You take them at your own pace, and anytime, any place. There's also the program finder map, and again, the arrow points to it. You click on that and you'll find out you can change whether you want to look at only 2-year colleges or 4-year colleges or other factors, or only a course or whatever. And if you're not on this map and you want to be, you can also fill out a form, and we'll put you on the map here. But it's about the only place where you can really see just the spread of geospatial technologies at 2-year and 4-year campuses. I mentioned GeoEd 21. Just because it's over doesn't mean it's gone. It's really good. There were three tracks. And you couldn't attend all 3, but you can watch the recordings. And the recordings are really good. I've watched several of them since the event, and a lot of them are hands-on, so very active recordings. The data is accessible, the recordings accessible, and they might make even good exercises or activities for within a course. There are up and coming and virtual workshops, and so watch out. Again, go on and look at those on where the red arrow is pointing. These are full like MOOC workshops and online courses. So they're instructor-led online courses. And then, like I mentioned, we're going to have GIS Day again, and it was really wonderful. We're still looking at exactly when and how to give it, because everybody does it on the same day. It's hard to attend. Do we do it a little before, a little after, or a combination? But watch out for the GIS Day activities. The other thing that if you have military or retired military or active military, Rodney Jackson has done a wonderful synopsis of work for those types of people that have already got an MOS and have a lot of skills that they already have, and how do they apply those skills to a geospatial career, but also how you can crosswalk it. So under professional development tab there, you'll see veterans resources, and it will give you specifics, and they will understand exactly what it is. But these are good for your guidance counselors too. If they have military coming in, that can help them understand how they can better align what they're telling them they should be taking as to what they've already learned. We have a newsletter that comes out. Ken Yano does this, and it's really good. You can sign up for our listserv or our newsletter. We don't bombard you with daily emails or anything else. It's really only when it's something important like GIS Day, what's going to happen, or other activities. We do have a Facebook page and a Twitter account, and we have a map with activities. We can put your activities on this map too, so people coming in can see things going on. They click on it and they will see your activities as well as any others. Earlier, Nicole told in the earlier session about the Geospatial Education Certification Program. And it's really, we did a pilot program through it last year, and we're now going to have another round of activities. So it starts off, the application is out there. It's on the GeoTech Center application site. You can see exactly the URL there, geotech.kctcs.hub.arcgis.com. So take a look at the application, fill it out. We really want to know, why you'd want to do it and what you're already doing in class. Once we get those applications in, we will close the application process August 16th, and we'll let you know by September 10th whether or not you're accepted. It will be an 8-week MOOC course, and it'll be a 2-week capstone project. Once your capstone is done, you turn it in. The capstone project is due, you'll get a chance to, if we review it and there's any problems with it, you'll get a chance to resubmit it, and we will have everything done by January 26th of 2022. One interesting thing is, because we're going to survey, what we're doing right and wrong, because this is still a process of development. We're going to survey you. You'll get $1,000 stipend when you finish it. So you'll not only get certification, but you'll also get a stipend to help you defray the time you're spending doing this. This is a hint I learned just last week. You can Google it. All you have to do is open your Google, put in a geotechcenter.org in that line, and then a topic. So here I'm Googling geotechcenter.org, and I want to learn about what kind of resources does geotech have for remote sensing. And when I do that, it comes up with all those resources. So if you can't remember where those red arrows shot out onto the web page, or something gets moved around or whatever, just think, I'm going to go to GeoTech Center and see if they had anything on drones. I'm going to see if they have anything on map projectors. I'm going to see if they have anything on any topic you can think of. And Google it will bring you to what is there. Here you can see there are tutorials, there's model courses, and other materials. Anyway, thank you very much. If you have any questions, please let me know.
Well, thank you very much, Anne. I don't see any questions coming in yet, so we'll wait till the end. I did put in the chat the link to your map of programs. Really nice looking map that I was playing with for a little bit. So thank you for that. So we will pass on to the next presentation, which is our CI towards enabling cyber literacy for GIS science. Anand, if you want to start sharing your screen, and you can take over here. And while you're doing that, Anand is a research associate professor at the Department of Geography and Geographic Information Science at University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign. So Anand, are you here?
Yep, I'm here.
Great.
And I hope you can see my screen.
We can see it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Let me go to the full screen. Let's see. Okay, I think you guys can see the right screen. Okay, so I'm going to be talking about our project called R of Cyberinfrastructure. This is an NSF funded project. I'm one of the co-PIs on the project, and the rest of the PIs and co-PIs are listed there. So basically, we are creating tools for enabling cyber literacy. So in this talk, I'll talk about what is cyber literacy, I guess, in the context of GIS science, and how do we develop technologies in order to help you teach this cyber literacy to students. So let me step back and say, hey, we have a very big world out there. We have lots of data coming into us. Most of it is geospatial. We have a lot of sensors, satellites, recording that are recording and streaming data 24/7. So how do, like in the past, we had like books and things like that where knowledge was captured, but in the new kind of way of doing things, everything is data. It's in the database, or it's in like it's in unstructured data, it's in text files, it's all the place, I guess. So how do you make or unlock the knowledge in this data? So what are the tools that are needed? So it's more than your kind of reading a book or ability to read. So you need some kind of computational kind of skills. And this is more than just using a computer, right? So this is more than computer literacy. This is more of a cyber literacy. So, so what are we talking about here? Literacies essentially are like essential capabilities and foundational knowledge. These change constantly as science and society are changing. So, so in the new world, or in the new generation of things, everything is cyber oriented. So you need cyber literacy for GIS science. That's what we are arguing. And our colleagues had a paper there where we define cyber literacy as an ability to understand and use established and emerging technologies in order to transform all forms and magnitude of geospatial data into information for multidisciplinary problem solving. So this is kind of a mouthful in terms of a definition, but I think the key thing here is you have to establish connections and use emerging technologies and established technologies in order to make sense out of geospatial data, right? And this is more or less leading into interdisciplinary problem solving. So we have identified in the project, we identify 8 core areas for this, for cyber literacy. And for cyber literacy for GIS science is basically an intersection of all these things. This goes all the way from computational science or GIS science, so like parallel computing, big data, like computational thinking, those kinds of things which are more on the computing side. And on the GIS side, you have spatial analysis and modeling, geospatial data, spatial thinking. And in between, we have the interdisciplinary communication and cyber infrastructure. So For example, cyber infrastructure is defined as like a comprehensive infrastructure that is needed for the knowledge economy. So in these 6 areas, if you in these 8 areas, I guess if you think about like these 8 areas, you have various kinds of technologies and tools that have emerged. Like for example, in cyber infrastructure, we have cyber GIS, which is kind of applying GIS, cyber infra or geospatial problem solving, geospatial problems using cyber infrastructure tools and technologies. You have parallel computing, big data, those kinds of more computational stuff. But if you look into this in more details, you can quickly be mind boggled, right? So you have like web services, speed up, or map reduce kind of technology, or traditional MOP kind of problems, like big O notations from computer science, or AI and machine learning, which are all coming along. So when you want to like teach students what is cyber literacy, how do I get them started, like you can get quickly overwhelmed. So where do you start? This is really can be overwhelming. So in order to address that problem, in order to help people become cyber literate, we are developing kind of something called the Heart of Cyber Infrastructure. This is then, as I said, an NSF funded project, which is currently in the 3rd year. So what we are trying to do here is we are trying to help people, which will to tell these big computers, how do you solve or analyze spatial data, which are stored in like huge databases, and to make sense of it. How do you simulate, model, visualize, or otherwise actually just make knowledge out of it. And the key thing is people who have little or no experience using this. So that's kind of our challenge, and that's what we are trying to do. So our target audience again is undergraduate and graduate students, and maybe some professionals who need who are in traditional GIS field who need to learn some cyber infrastructure kind of literacy. So traditionally, when you are teaching these kinds of things, when I teach some courses, you start with like command lines and things like that, where if you are not exposed to computer science and not comfortable with computer science kind of concepts, it becomes really overwhelming, and it's a really high learning curve. So we really want to reduce this barrier to entry. That is kind of the key thing we want to do. And to do this, the Art of CI project is establishing a nationwide campaign where we are trying to reach like hundreds of diverse undergraduate and graduate students. And this is NSF funded project with Eric Shook as PI and all of us as co-PIs on the project. So Art of CI, I guess, as I said, it's modeled out of the R of code, which kind of is serving K-12, but we are targeting the audience after that, like graduate and undergraduate students. The key idea is you should be able to learn the basic things about cyber infrastructure in 1 hour chunks. So we identified these 8 areas. So can we do this like in 1 hour chunks, have easy to use modules and things like that, interactive lessons that can be available, and that you can easily use. So our project is developing 17 such interactive lessons. So we have 8 of the core areas which were identified. So 2 lessons for each of the areas, 1 beginner, 1 intermediate, and 1 overall lesson, which is kind of a gateway lesson, which tells you the basics to get started. So key objectives that we had, we have to create these 17 CI lessons and enhance, I guess, the existing cyber infrastructure. So it's not just creating the lessons, but we are also creating the infrastructure behind it in order to support the lesson. So you don't have to do this on your own computer, or you don't have to do this by yourself. And of course, then launch it to a large number of students, as well as train the educators. And finally, establish this community here where like we can have like teaching the teachers is how we call it, like, hey, how do we teach this community of people, and then get your feedback and improve these kinds of lessons. So the 17 lessons, I guess, the one gateway lesson, which is kind of hello to the world of cyber infrastructure, and then 2 lessons each on each of the main concepts: cyber infrastructure, parallel programming, big data, computational thinking, interdisciplinary communication, spatial thinking, geospatial data, and um, spatial modeling and analysis. So both computational side and GIS side. So you, if you have maybe you have like more of a cyber infrastructure or computational background and you want to learn GIS, this would be a good place for you. So you can get your GIS skills. But you have, if you have very good GIS skills and you know what like spatial modeling analysis or spatial thinking, you can get some of your computational skills. So building some kind of an interdisciplinary communication. So what does this lesson look like? What do each of these lessons look like? These lessons are essentially using something called Jupyter Notebook. Some of you might know this. Jupyter Notebooks are essentially computational notebooks where you could have text as well as code intermingled with each other, and you could run the code right there within the notebook. So you don't need to go to some other platform. Hey, I need to run code, come back. So it's a single platform. You can give a guided kind of, say, it's a self-guided thing. So you could click on links, you could click on interactive components that we have developed to understand the concepts, and we can bake in some checks, learning checks, and some assessment kind of things in between, so you can like enable active learning. So the gateway lesson, we have explored some basic concepts with comparison. So for example, with cyber infrastructure, we are comparing it with regular infrastructure, and how does that relate in terms of the knowledge economy, as like infrastructure was key for the industrial economy. But we are also together building a community, right? So it's not just, hey, we build this lesson, we throw it out, and that's what it is. So we are actively engaging with the learner communities to say, hey, the developer community can say, develop some things, and the learner community can give us feedback. So we have mechanisms to collect feedbacks from the learners as well as from the developers, so that there is kind of a good mutually reinforcing interaction between the two communities. So for example, like the developer community will create like lessons which will teach this cyber literacy. Learners might get back to us and say, hey, this is kind of they have tested by assessments, and then they give us feedbacks, and we use this data to improve our best practices and develop some guides for future lesson development. So where are we at? So this all sounds great. So can I try it? So yes. So we have this good project team which has been working for the past 3 years in order to make it as a project. Eric Shook is the PI, and I'm one of the co-PIs. So we had this first workshop held in 2019 before COVID hit, along with AAG last year, and this year, of course, we couldn't hold like physical conference, but we were still doing this virtually. So kind of where we are. So we have developed the first set of lessons quite a bit. Like the gateway lesson is completely done. We have like another 4 lessons which are ready to go, and more lessons are coming up. We have piloted it out with lesson developers as well as pilot instructors, and we had like we sent this out like in I think March or sometime earlier this year, and we have really a active sign up. We had like hundreds of learners and instructors sign up, and we have like around 1,200 user accounts created. So these might be instructors using this in class, and we are doing a pilot survey in order to get feedback from this kind of from this pilot, so we can improve the process. So our next step is to finish all our beginner lesson by this summer. So we are more than halfway there. So by this summer and fall, we should be able to finish the pilot for all the beginner lessons. And then we have also a draft based on this is kind of the best practices on how do you do lesson development. And then over the fall kind of time frame, we'll start the intermediate lesson and pilot the intermediate lesson like late fall and spring, and then release all the lessons and guides by next summer. So that's kind of the timeline. We are making good progress on it. So in summary, I guess what we have here is we have cyber literacy for GI science, which is really needed to unlock kind of the data derived knowledge in the new cyber world, especially for GI science. And then cyber infrastructure, the art of cyber infrastructure is kind of one of the first steps you can take in order to gain these kinds of cyber literacy for students. So can you try it? Yes, you can. You can go to this website, rofci.org. You can sign up for an account and then try it for yourself, some of the gateway and some of the beginner lessons that we have. Thank you. And I guess if you have any questions, I'll be happy to take it.
Thank you, Anand. I put the link to the rofci.org into the chat window, so you can directly click on that, anyone that's interested. We're right on time, so we're going to switch to the next presentation for now. Nicole Kong is an associate professor at Purdue University School of Information Studies, specializing in GIS, and she has some co-CIs, as you can see on the screen here. Nicole will be talking about a new way to discover the U.S. map collection. So without further ado, it's yours, Nicole.
Thank you, Mark, and hello, everyone. I like the first two presentations, which have introduced us great resources. And here I want to introduce another resource at a probably different dimension. It's a new way to help us discover US map collections. Joining with me is actually a team, and I believe they are here. Chris Cullen from University of Arizona, Paige Andrew from Penn State University, Craig Haggett from Denver Public Library, and Carol McAuliffe from University of Florida. In this team, I also want to mention Angie Lee from Esri has provided us great support, help along the project development. So together we made this project available. And first of all, I want to introduce a little bit about the map collections and the cartographic resources. And especially after we moved to GIS and many online resources, probably not a lot of people realize actually we have a lot of information hidden in the libraries and many map collections. The map collections support the research and the teaching needs for faculty and students in very different disciplines. For example, a lot of historical maps, error photos, like hiding in these drawers, they're really helpful in many research projects. And occasionally, they are also used to support informal research, like research for travel or genealogy research. But these maps are in physical collections, and sometimes it's really hard for users to reach them, especially if we don't know which collection has which resource. That's why the American Library Association, we have a roundtable called the McGirt Map and Geospatial Information Roundtable. We work together to provide dictionary information to US map collections of all shapes, size, formats. And the name of the book is called Guide to US Map Resources. Here's some background. We had the first two editions published in 1986 and 1990, and the most edition is this book cover. It was published in 2006. And starting from 2014, as more and more geospatial information moving online, we decided to create the next edition of this book as an online resource instead of physical book, because it will allow more potentials for geospatial information users. So the team got together and think about the anticipated outcome of the project. First of all, we hope the project could be crowdsourced so that the providers, the libraries or museum can provide the information directly. So there won't be a third person contact to reach out, then organize the information in the book to make sure the information is up to date and accurate. And we hope the information is searchable by geographic location. Just imagine I'm in Indiana. If I want to use a certain map, maybe I will start for map search from my nearby libraries instead of have a national search. But we also hope the database can be searchable by subject and geographic specialties. For example, certain collections might have some special need, for example, like agriculture maps or fire insurance maps. Different libraries have different collection streams. We hope this database can provide the user a great way to search information based on these collection streams. And finally, we hope this database can provide a platform to promote and demonstrate the relevance of map collections across the United States so that we know what kind of maps most likely collected at which collection, so that the map librarians can communicate with each other. And the brief history of this project, as I mentioned, we started the brainstorming very early, has been a long time, and we experimented different technologies. At the beginning, I think when the project just started, maybe Survey 123 didn't exist yet. So we started from Google Form to collect information. Then we realized to connect Google Form with Esri maps might be a little bit, sometimes not as smooth as we would imagine. So we switched to Survey 123 at a certain point, and we publicized the project, asked people to fill out the survey. And a couple of considerations here is like, first of all, if somebody fills the survey, we want to make sure the information can be tracked. And later on, if their library has any change for their map collection, either personnel change or map change, they can update the information. And luckily, Survey 123 got this function there so that we can provide the editable link to whoever filled the survey. And the second, we hope the database can be queried after we move to ArcGIS Online is doable. And also we hope it can be maintained in the long term, because if a certain organization, like if I start this project from Purdue, it's from Purdue ArcGIS organization, and it cannot be shared with some of my collaborators here. So we work together to find the solutions, and also want to thank Angie Lee from Esri, who has provided great suggestions along this process. And here is the system architecture. Here's the database. We expect to collect all the map collections records. We hope the map collections can contribute their information, and they can also search their information from the database so that they can communicate with each other. And here's the researchers. They can find the map records from our platform and connect to the map collection. And in addition, we added one more component here, which is the regional coordinator. When we just started, we realized maybe we don't get as many records contribution as we thought we could. So we create a big team with the help of regional coordinator. We are really adding more and more records in the past, I believe it's about half a year. So for the regional coordinators, we divided the United States into 10 different regions, and we try to recruit 1 to 3 coordinators per region. Some regions really taken care very well. Some regions, I think we still need more regional coordinators. I think I saw a couple of our regional coordinators also in the meeting. And for the regional coordinators, they are responsible to contact the map collections in their region. they follow up to ensure the information in the database is updated. And they also help the smaller institutions in the region to enter their information in the database. And they also work with our original team to further develop and improve this online guide to US map resources. So here is the current status of this database. It's developed using ArcGIS Online. I'm not sure if I can show this on the screen. We have these points all collected with up-to-date information, and you can search the different collections through institution, library name, and what I like most is these collection strings. For example, geographic strings. I believe you can just type in whenever, I don't know, for example, San Diego, you can find which university has this collection strings. Also, you can search by the subject strings. For example, if you want to search for mining maps, there are different options. You can find which library has these collections. And another search is through the special collections. For example, if you want to find the aerial photos or historical maps, it's a great resource to let you dig deeper on what collection strings different library has. And here is the interface for the survey 123. It's very straightforward. At this step, we want to make sure we have enough contributions. So we kind of minimize the requirements to make sure more and more people would like to enter their information there. And as to yesterday, we have 233 records in the database. I know there's still a long way to go, but we're working hard with all the regional coordinators to get more and more libraries into the map. And for the future, first of all, we're gonna expand the current records with outreach to archives, museums, and other cultural institutions. We also hope to expand the current collection outside of the US so that we can know more about where the physical maps are, just in case if you need a very special map. And we will identify opportunities to for collaborations with the neighboring map collections. For example, if we want to decide which map to keep, which map maybe we can reduce, it's a great way for map librarians to communicate. And finally, we hope to increase the awareness and the usage. Hopefully, you find this platform is useful to help you find more map collections. I think that's the end of my presentation. I want to thank you all and welcome any questions.
Thank you very much, Nicole. That was a great resource that I didn't even know existed. And as someone who got to start as a cartographer in the old-fashioned ways, you know, printing atlases and stuff like this and having to go to a map library to get information, that's a great resource that I wish was available back 25 years ago. So I don't see a lot of questions in the chat window, but if anyone has any, please put the questions in here now. We can address those. One point I did want to make is that you can go to proceedings.esri.com in about 6 to 8 weeks, and you'll be able to find all the recordings for everything that's been going on over the last 2 days, but then not just the Education Summit, but all of our online and virtual conferences. You can find information there. But everything from this summit you'll be able to find on the proceedings.esri.com. So thank you very much. And there is a question that just came in for Nicole. Are the maps in the database also being digitized, or does the database just include the location of the physical maps?
At this point, the database only includes the location of physical maps. I know many libraries are working on the way to digitize their map collections. So I believe sooner or later, they will be available through the platform.
Thank you very much. And I see the link for the ArcGIS Online map was just put into the chat window as well, so everyone can grab that really quickly. And I will address one of the one of the comments that came in from your co-PI, Nicole, of Craig Haggett. Craig, I picked this map on purpose because Craig was the librarian at MapQuest when this atlas was created. So he helped get a lot of the research material that went into the National Geographic Road Atlas. So yeah, map librarians are very important to a lot of really good products that come out. So with that, we are at the top of the hour, and thank you very much for everyone that presented in this session and everyone that attended. I hope you all have a good rest of the day and go on to the next session. Thank you very much.